Did she get her mother home yet?
You were the only participant in this conference.
Mrs. Gould, the dentist will see you now.
May I have a tissue, please, because my box is empty.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah, I just keep it up there because the elevation for the names.
How many people?
Oh,
17?
17?
I'm moving target and make sure you're down here, right?
You got that twice.
You're a target, all right.
Not just here.
Yeah, I got you. Matt, are we on?
Okay, I have 9:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mrs. Gould.
I'm here.
Mr. Thompson.
Present?
And Mr. Cabrera.
I'm here. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, the notice requirements have been satisfied as to time, place, and date of holding said meeting by posting notice on the bulletin board here in Borough Hall and by mailing and emailing same to the Herald of Cape May County, the Gazette Leader, and the Press of Atlantic City on October 23rd, 2019. Those of you who are here, in the event of emergency, your emergency exit is your back right or your front left or our front right out that door and down the hallway. A couple of quick announcements. Keeping with the executive orders for indoor meetings, we're allowed up to 24. For the record, Madam Clerk, I believe we have counted 17
That's correct.
here in attendance. Those of you who are watching live, you can call in to make a public comment or statement or ask a question by dialing into the conference line. That number is 234-203-2766. You're going to enter participant ID 786-394-836, followed by the pound or hashtag. In the event that you aren't able to call in, you're more than welcome to email our clerk at clerk@wildwoodcrest.org. And again, we're streaming this live on YouTube and also on Facebook. For the record, as we start this meeting, there is nobody on the conference line, so I believe we are ready to go with the ordinances.
Yes, sir. The first ordinance is number 1340, and it reads as follows. An ordinance to amend Section 59-3 of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, known as the Salary Ordinance, fixing and determining salaries and compensations of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, and providing for the raising of the amounts thereof by taxation and for the time and method of payment.
I move that ordinance number 1340 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on December 29th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1340 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on December 29th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m.
Roll call. Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 1341, and it reads as follows. A bond ordinance appropriating $5,300,000 and authorizing the issuance of $5,035,000 bonds or notes of the borough for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Borough of Wildwood Crest in the County of Cape May, New Jersey.
I move that ordinance number 1341 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on December 29th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1341 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on December 29th, 2020, at 9:30 a.m.
Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have the resolutions. The first is authorizing the void and refund of tax sale certificates 20-00006 and 20-00014.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing a licensing agreement between the Borough of Wildwood Crest and Dolphin Swim Club for the use of the Joseph Von Savage Pool.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing borough engineer work order for Pacific Avenue storm sewer improvements and various borough street improvements, additional services, reconstruction of Ocean Avenue at the not-to-exceed sum of $17,500.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing approval of change order number 2, Pacific Avenue and various streets capital improvements program additional services, reconstruction of Ocean Avenue between Crocus Road and Astor Road at the not-to-exceed sum of $202,290.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing acceptance of a project known as dual band radios as complete.
So moved.
I'll abstain.
I need a second.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Yep, you want to
I'm sorry.
abstain.
Abstain.
Abstain for the record. And Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing certain appropriation transfers.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing award of contract for authorized on-site inspections and plan review agencies for the following subcodes: plumbing, electrical, fire protection, and building.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the borough to cancel the grant account receivables and appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing municipal court administrator to void certain checks from the municipal court general account and the municipal court bail account.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the appointment of 3 Class 2 police officers.
Just a question. Do we need 3 officers?
Yes. The standard, put them in the academy now to get them ready for summer.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the auction of abandoned vehicles on an online auction website.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing a shared services agreement with the County of Cape May for participation in the Rescue Task Force.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is amending the 2020 capital budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Lastly is authorizing a special event permit to David DeWeese for a ceremony to take place on December 11th, 2020 on the beach at Forget Me Not Road.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next we have the bills, Mrs. Gould.
Motion that all bills properly authorized be paid.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that all bills properly authorized be paid. Roll call, Mrs. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes. Okay, nothing listed for correspondence. Brings us
There's
to
nothing.
first round of public comments. Let me just see if there's anyone on the call. Is there anybody on the conference call that would like to make a public comment?
Everybody slept in today.
Hearing none, I'll move to the live audience. Anybody in the live audience here with us today that would like to make a public comment? Anybody on social media? Okay, it brings us to discussion items under new business. We have none listed. Tell us the end of the year. Old business. Just breezing down through here. No.
Street signs, did anything happen with that? Ronnie, have we heard anything on that?
We're going to be able to call them of historical nature to the borough
Okay.
items so that we can retain them or allow our residents to have an opportunity to purchase them at a fair amount. The type of metal and material it is, it really has no market value whatsoever, even a scrap.
But it has sentimental value for people.
Right, it has historical and sentimental value,
Right.
correct.
Okay.
Only to the residents of the borough who live on the street.
So do we know when we can put these, I don't know how we're gonna do it and how much they're going to be per sign?
Yeah, I mean, so spoke to Ralph Grassi, so he's just now starting to install the new signs, so we're probably gonna have to wait till he's done doing the installation of the new signs so that we can inventory all the signs that we have and then sell them. And I have asked Recreation to consider being the point of contact to go there and if somebody wants to buy them, to send them to the Crespi or perhaps the tourism building. And they're going to work out those details and advise the governing body what's the best way to go about it. I do want to comment on the bamboo. I believe the Green Team and the Planning Board weighed in support of a prohibition against bamboo in certain areas and certain types. So I know that Solicitor Galzinos is working on that draft ordinance. Perhaps sometime we can introduce it sometime in January.
I do. I actually have a completed draft. I'm just doing a final review now, and I'll circulate that for review by the commissioners and then our enforcement personnel to get some feedback from them as well.
Okay. The Little League field, I think we're still waiting on the adjusters to make a decision, following some conversation with our engineer. Other than that, I think we're ready for our last round of public comments.
This is so
Is
exciting.
there somebody on the line? There's nobody on the line.
Awful music.
This is so
All
exciting.
right.
You're digging it, right?
Anybody in the audience have any public comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Joe Visconti at Washington Avenue. Just was curious if there are any updates on the Washington Avenue flooding issues.
No, so we just, at the last meeting or second, 2 meetings ago, we approved the authorization of a grant writer to get the funds to allow us to do the necessary research and investigative work to put that plan together. So there hasn't been any decision on that as far as I know, right, Mark? That's probably not going to happen until the spring. However, there is some discussion going on with Lower Township to understand the water that potentially is coming from the Lower Township and flooding back onto the Crest streets. So I know that Mark is working on that. We have to do a little bit. We have to do a survey to show, how it's coming back and so forth. And then we, in the capital introduction tonight, we're doing some short-term temporary considerations to some outlets, additional outlets on the southern end on Seaview Avenue as well to get us by until we get the decision with respect to the grant from FEMA, and then we can move forward with the larger scale project, which is making the pipe capacity larger, wider, and the installation perhaps of a oceanfront water pump station.
If I could add to that, Mayor. So we worked with the borough's grant writer for this FEMA application, which was due at the end of November. It was November 30th, and that was filed on time. So that application's in the hopper with FEMA.
Is there any direction that the township's leaning at, or not until you do? Is there any direction that you see was more feasible economically and just logistically to resolve that?
So there's primarily 2 options. One is to increase the pipe size going out to the ocean or add another pipe. but that won't solve the problem when you have a high tide
Correct.
and those pipes are full and you have a heavy rain. The solution to that is actually a pump station. So there's two options, and what went into the hopper with FEMA is a study to evaluate both with an emphasis on the higher price tag, which was the pump station.
Okay. And that might be a longer-term solution, a little more expensive at the beginning, maybe.
Oh, no question, it's a more expensive option and it also requires real estate.
And that would have to be on the ocean side versus the bay side?
It would be servicing the ocean side, and again, wherever the real estate is. Ideally, it would be closer to the point of discharge, which at this point was to go back out to the ocean with a force main from a pump station.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Hearing none. Mrs. Gould, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Do I have a
I
second?
will second that.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Especially-
9:45.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah first.
Happy Hanukkah.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. Is it cake early?
You got your first